Good evening and good to have you with us at this edition of the Urban Debate here at 9 p.m. this Friday night. Viewers, one more time we put the spotlight on the national capital that is actually now becoming a national corona capital with the way cases are being reported and the projections that are being put out by the government itself of how many cases Delhi can have. Now viewers, in the last 5 days, just in the last 5 days, if you add up the daily number of fresh cases, Delhi has recorded 7,000 cases just this week in 5 days. This has become a huge concern as stories of mismanagement begin to emerge. The big question that everybody is asking is what happened? How did this suddenly turn around? How are suddenly cases snowballing and becoming a bigger and a bigger and a bigger number every day in Delhi? And why is it that in such a scenario, the testing isn't going up? The testing, in fact, has been reduced from what the national capital was earlier doing. So what's going on? Is the Delhi government afraid of what the reality is outside? Unprepared to handle the load on the infrastructure? But before we go to those serious questions, here is a very big problem that we have found in the national capitals. And viewers, this is one of the reasons why Delhi is struggling today. The failure to implement, the failure to follow the lockdown norms inside the containment zones. That's not what is happening in Delhi. Even in the containment zones, people are behaving and authorities are allowing them to behave as if everything is normal. Ayushman, our correspondent, went to the worst hit district of the national capital, to Jahangirpuri. This is an area which has the maximum number of containment zones, which means that it is one of the prime hotspots of the national capital. And I want to bring the report that he filed. See what he found, the reality on ground. This isn't a containment zone. That's not what you are seeing on screen. Take a look.
1 out of 3 cases of influenza in Delhi have tested positive of COVID-19. There is an active policy of testing cases of influenza and respiratory infection in containment zone. We are in containment zone of Jahangirpuri. This is one containment zone in the national capital which has been there since April 18th, and it has been more than 2 months that this area continues to be a containment zone. And see what is happening here. Currently, all the norms of social distancing are not being obeyed here. You can clearly see the barricade placed over here. Moments ago, this was open, people were clearly able to cross it, go outside, come inside. As of now, as per the MHA guideline, the lockdown still exists in this area where only people who are having essential services and are requiring medical facilities are allowed to go. But clear violations of all those norms are being seen here, which is a clear signal as to why Delhi continues to see a rise in number of cases, because this is a containment zone where the barricadings have been put here so that people don't come inside and don't go outside. But that is merely being followed here. You can see outside, just outside the containment zone, everybody is roaming as if it is a normal day, as if there is no problem here. But this is Delhi's one of the most critical, important and very, very sensitive containment zone, which has got over 2 lakh of population. Jahangirpuri remains attention for the district officials, the health authorities and the state government. And the containment zone is, what we are witnessing, is not following any social distancing norm as of now, what we have witnessed. With camera person Sonu, Ayushman for Mirror Now.
सर रोक क्या से सर, जिससे कोई रोक रहा है, कोई झगड़ा कर रहा है, खामे फालतू वो कर रहा है उससे। हम किसी को रोक नहीं पा रहे इस तरह से।
हाँ। तो ये बताइए कि क्या यहाँ पर सैनिटाइजेशन वगैरह होता है?
नहीं होता जी, नहीं होता जी यहाँ पे सैनिटाइजर, आता ही नहीं कोई व्यक्ति, कोई नहीं आता।
अंदर गलियों का क्या है?
गलियों में सारी बुरा हाल है, गलियों में जो पहले बंद थी अब ओपन कर दी है। वो नाक का सैनिटाइज करते हैं, जो बंदा बीमार है, जो मास्क वगैरह निकल के जो जहाँ से मरीज निकले हैं वहाँ पर तक इन्होंने सैनिटाइज नहीं कर रखा। वो लोग भी इधर से निकल के जाते हैं और मास्क नहीं पहना होता उन्होंने।
This is what Ayushman found. No regular sanitizing is taking place in that place. You heard the resident tell it to you yourself. People are really breaking through the barricades, not really following the rules of a barricade. So, a simple movement being allowed all over the place. And this is the worst hit district with the maximum number of containment zones. If we are not able to implement the norms, then what else will we see except the fact that the cases begin to spike? Let's say good evening to our panelists who are joining us right now. Tonight, I want to focus about what's going on in Delhi. How do we fix this problem? Mr. Sudesh Verma, spokesperson for the BJP. Mr. Javed Ansari, senior journalist, joining us this evening. Dr. Rajan Sharma, the national president of the Indian Medical Association, is with us. But first up, let's go across to the Aam Aadmi representative, Akshay. I hope you saw that report, because in many parts of Jahangirpuri, this is what Ayushman found. And Akshay, if this is how we are implementing rules in our containment zones, then the numbers will go up.
Tanvi, it's important to understand what the containment zone strategy has been right from day one of the lockdown. The first lockdown, when it was implemented, the Ministry of Home Affairs actually issued a very detailed guideline on how to contain a zone and what activities can happen inside it, etc. But what happened is initially, and not just in Delhi, across the country, when the first set of zones were contained, a very large number of people began getting included in the containment zone, which was a cause of huge frustration among the people. And actually, Jahangirpuri has been victim to this early mistake that a lot of states made, including Delhi. And now, after that, after the first two lockdowns, the containment strategy also was modified, and all the new containment zones, in fact, more than 200 new containment zones happened after the change in strategy. If I am not mistaken, then apart from Jahangirpuri, there are some other containment zones in other, like for example, there is one in Sadar Bazaar, there is one in Daryaganj, where 2 to 3 lakh people live, and it's just not possible operationally, practically, to contain so many people in one position for 3 months. So the strategy has now changed, where you see that individual societies, housing societies, or just one gully, or just a cluster of a few houses have now started to be contained, where the police can actually manage the containment zone. When it becomes a very large zone, there is no practical way in which any government can actually contain that zone. Therefore, the last 200 containment zones that have been demarcated in Delhi have been very, very small ones, where we are able to manage the entry and exit points. We're able to deliver vegetables. We're able to deliver essential items to people's homes. So I think, yes, fully agree that in the initial phases, the big containment zones are a problem. But eventually, the country also decided, the MHA decided to change the norms, and Delhi has also implemented that.
So you're saying Jahangirpuri as an area is not a problem right now? That it's okay that people are moving with this much of freedom?
No, there are two different issues at play here, Tanvi. Number one is that large containment zones in general were a problem right from day one. So that has now changed to a new strategy of smaller containment zones. Now, whether a containment strategy is working or not working is something for us to think about, because I remember I was on your show just 2 days ago, and we were talking about the fact that over 50% of cases right now in Delhi are such that we don't know what their source is. And when you hit that point where you cannot determine the source of a case, then a containment strategy no longer works. Then you have to assume that there is transmission in the community and focus all your energies and efforts on treating the people who are going to get sick. And the second thing that one needs to do is to ensure that people follow basic social distancing norms, wear masks, wash their hands regularly. Across the world, we have seen that when you hit that threshold of community transmission, your strategy to deal with the pandemic has to change. And this is something that Delhi, Mumbai, Tamil Nadu, Gujarat, all these states desperately need to do, and we are actually urging the center to acknowledge there is community transmission, so we can go to the next stage of the fight.
I disagree with you. I am no medical expert. So I'm going to ask the medical experts to give their views on this, but I don't think that works, and I don't think you can't use this excuse for this action. In Mumbai, this is exactly what is happening. Yes, large containment zones don't work. So you narrow it down. You narrow it down to the lane, you narrow it down to the campus complex, you narrow it down to the building if it is necessary. But you ensure that there is screening, isolation, strict lockdown, absolutely social distancing being observed. People here are walking through the barricades, Akshay, of a containment zone. You can change your perimeters of the containment zone if that's the problem. But you cannot raise your hands and say, oh, there is community transmission in this hotspot or in this containment zone, in this crowded cluster area. So this strategy isn't going to work anymore. That is my view. I am not an expert. I have only seen what's happening in the big cities and how in Mumbai, in many places, the turnaround has happened to a great extent, including in a place like Dharavi, which is the biggest slum we have in our country right now. But let me ask Dr. Rajan Sharma this. Dr. Rajan Sharma, what is the reason that Delhi is seeing this spike, if not for the fact that we are not implementing our lockdown properly?
What has happened has happened. But now one should learn from the mistakes. We cannot follow regulations selectively. We have to be aggressive in our approach. Across India, if you see any village and any person who is explained fully well, they stick to their responsibility. It is the people's responsibility. But you have to aggressively micromanage the slums. If you cannot decongest, even if it means decongesting that slum, treatment is not the option because the healthcare facilities will ultimately and have collapsed in few of the teeming population. Now the thing should be aggressive, man-to-man marking, man-to-man testing. Here the most vital link which I find missing is the spreader, the silent or the asymptomatic carrier. If we are not targeting that and we are limiting the testing, you quoted Dharavi. Dharavi was a success because a few of my colleagues and friends from IMA, they also participated in the testing, involved the local community leaders, the leaders, people who are in a lane leaders, even the ladies. And last but not least, even the children. They are the most effective implementers of anything which is good in the society. The stakeholders have to be increased to bring in that responsibility here. If the spread is so much, talk to the community leaders. We are ready with this plan that we need to decongest and decrease the viral load in this community, in this area. Let's do what? This is our suggestion. Get in a good team of expert team of epidemiologists. Sanitize the place fully. Now we have such good sanitizing machines and all. Aggressively sanitize. And door-to-door surveys, which was problem with Dharavi was it had multiple entry and exit points. Here, so that problem is also not there. But identify every lane, make a lane head. Please deploy it fully. Treatment strategy that you will only treat will not work. I feel this is my personal opinion.
Okay, Akshay, a quick word from you before I go to our other two panelists.
I fully agree with the panelists who spoke right before me. And what I was saying was that except for these large containment zones that were formed initially, all the 200 that have come in later on, and these are the real hotspots right now. In all 200 of these, you will find that the situation is actually very good in terms of manning the entry points, ensuring there is home delivery of all essential items. So I'm not denying that containment zones are important. I'm just saying that when you have a large containment zone, then it becomes very difficult for any police force to actually ensure that there is a complete implementation of that. And which is why we had to change the strategy, not just in Delhi, across the country. This is an MHA guideline. This is not what Delhi government has decided.
No, so okay, I don't understand. You have now the freedom to decide on the size of your containment zones. You can scale it down. You can scale it up. We have only picked up the area, the district of Delhi, which has the highest number of containment zones, and we went to those containment zones and we brought this report. So I'm not understanding what your argument is here.
Once a containment zone is notified, then the boundaries of that containment zone cannot be touched. They can only be scaled down. The containment levels can be scaled down after a certain number of days. And in this particular case of
Correct.
Jahangirpuri, we are not able to scale down because there are still persisting cases. The definitions are very, very strict. Even if there are 3 active cases of corona in any containment zone, then it cannot be scaled down, which is why it is continuing to be a large containment zone. Different strategies will have to be used for areas like Jahangirpuri. But I repeat myself that in the 200 containment zones that were formed after the change in strategy, it is being very, very strictly implemented in those 200 containment zones.
Okay, let me bring in our other 2 panelists as well. Mr. Javed Ansari, first you and then Mr. Sudesh Verma. To your mind, Mr. Ansari, what explains the fact, if the Delhi government insists they are okay and implementing the lockdown strategy well, then what explains the sudden spike in cases, 7,000 cases in 5 days?
Look, I don't know if there is a more polite or a benign way of saying this, but to my view, obviously there is a huge mismatch between what the Delhi government and the government of India are saying and what we are witnessing on the ground. Whatever little I've seen on the ground, it is clearly visible, evident that both the governments have taken the eye of the ball. After they lifted the lockdown, everybody just convinced themselves that this problem has gone away. We need to be clear. The lockdown was lifted because of economic compulsions. The medical problem, the health problem continues to be the same. In fact, it's much worse now. But the measures that you see in place are few and far in between. I am just watching visuals. I was watching visuals on your channel. In Jahangirpuri, people are just coming in, walking in and out. People are driving in and out. So therefore, this is not enough. The local corporator, the local MLA also owes it to his constituents. I know, for example, that in West Nizamuddin, which was at one time a hot spot, the local corporator there has moved heaven and earth. She's worked day in and day out. I've witnessed it with my own eyes. They are sanitizing every gully, every kucha, every settlement. And now they've managed to turn things around. They are opening that place up. So it's not as if it can't be done, but you need to have the will and you need to vigorously, aggressively go about your task. That has not been done. And again, there's a huge mismatch between what the Chief Minister promised us a week ago and what is happening now. He wanted us to believe, or he told us that the Delhi government has catered for 4 times the number of beds that are required in Delhi. And to our great misfortune now, what we realize is that there are not even enough beds. So therefore, while it's understandable that politicians talk up a lot of things, but not on issues as serious as this. This is a question of life and death. This is an existential crisis facing the residents of Delhi, the citizens of Delhi. And both the center and the state government owe it to us to get their act together, to work together. It's not enough to blame the central government or to blame the state government. Obviously, something is wrong. That's why things are going from bad to worse rather than improving. And therefore, both governments need to get their act together. Nobody can do it alone. It's evident that the Delhi state government can't do it alone. The center should come forward and help. The Delhi government should not get off its high horse. Involve NGOs, involve private players, people who know this, get epidemiologists involved and get cracking. Otherwise, there will be hell to pay in Delhi.
Right. No, you are absolutely right, Mr. Ansari. But, that's a big ask what you're saying for the state and center to work together.
No, it's not a big ask.
It's
their constitutional duty.
It does
it's not a big
people of
ask.
Delhi.
It's their constitutional duty. If they don't, they will be failing us, they'll be cheating us, and both will then end up paying a huge political price.
Well, let's get Mr. Sudesh Verma to respond first, and then I'll go across to Akshay Marathe. Mr. Verma?
Yeah, Tanvi, Delhi situation is really very worse. According to his own admission, by July end there will be 5 lakh COVID positive cases. It's a very serious situation. You can always argue that there was containment zone, not following MHA guidelines. Toto and Supreme Court has also said. But you see, at the same time, about life, there was 2.8% people. That is the fatality rate in Delhi. So how are you prepared for that? Where are the beds you promised? You promised that hotels will be converted. Promised about other things will be converted. Where are the beds? People are not finding that. Here, very close people to parents, their relatives dying, young people dying. It's a very serious situation. My society, there are COVID positive cases. They are quarantined in their own flats. God forbid if something happens, they need oxygen, where will they go? Because they don't get admission in any hospital. And you have to pay a lot. There's not exploitation. The system is not working at all. And what about the apps? If you have apps, then if you know that a person is really in a certain area, then nearest hospital, he can always get through the app on matter of priority. They can always have a with the Resident Welfare Association, so the family doesn't have to, go and running and looking for people available. There is a something really drastic. It's very serious. And people are very angry. Take it from me. Aam Aadmi Party's representative, please take it seriously. The smile is not going to work. People are very, very upset, angry. Empower the Resident Welfare Association. Allow them to have COVID facilities, treatment facilities. It doesn't cost much. Something imaginative things, align with the center. Ask what is to the center. Things, because after you have to deliver it and you have to face the flag. So please be serious about it. I'm appealing to you because even more very, very influential people from they're not getting fed. Doctors treating COVID patients are not getting fed to their relatives. Very serious situation.
No, so Mr. Sudesh Verma, Mr. Sudesh Verma, it is undeniable that there is a problem, availability of bed problem. It is also undeniable that some of the private hospitals don't want to come on board with this because they're scared. They're scared of the risk of infection maybe, or the burden it will bring on to their hospital, and sometimes they give excuses to the patients. We've had those cases. My question to you is, the central government has hospitals in Delhi as well. There are MCD hospitals that are there present as well. Is it time to open some of these more, the MCD hospitals at least, to ensure that some amount of caseload goes there? Otherwise, people are just standing at the entrance of hospitals, running from one to the other, and nobody is taking admissions.
You are aware of the court's observation. There are 38 hospitals in Delhi. Only 5 hospitals have been
designated as COVID hospitals. What about the rest? Why can't you do it? You have to be proactive about it. You have to. You can't just wait that the curve will go down and then things will be all right. The situation is going to become worse. It's going to deteriorate further. But this is what the government needs to do. There are only 3 central government hospitals in Delhi, which is AIIMS, Safdarjung and Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital. Rest are all Delhi government run hospitals.
Okay, let me bring in Akshay Marathe as well on this issue.
Tanvi, let me first address the concerns that Mr. Javed Ansari has raised. I fully take responsibility as an Aam Aadmi Party representative for any failings that we have that have happened under our government, and we have in fact rectified whatever feedback has come our way. We have taken it in our stride, because you have to understand this is the one in a century kind of a disaster that humankind is facing. Nobody is equipped. Nobody knows how to deal with it perfectly. We're doing what we can. We're doing what we can to the best of our abilities. And we're taking feedback. We're taking constructive feedback from people of all kinds and all hues. And let me give you an example of that. When we launched the Delhi Corona app just 1 week ago, for 2-3 days, including Mirror Now, several channels actually ran story after story after story about how there was a mismatch between the number of beds in reality versus what was reflecting on the app. Today, after 3, 4, 5 days of actually really hard work, working with the private hospitals, getting them to update the data on a regular basis, today we have come a long way from that, and things have changed a lot when it comes to people figuring out where beds are available and where beds are not available. Let me give you just some statistics on why some of the figures that the BJP spokesperson talked about are actually not true. There are two kinds of government hospitals in Delhi. There are Delhi government hospitals which have 10,000 beds in total. There are central government hospitals which also have 10,000 beds in total. Out of our 10,000 beds that the Aam Aadmi Party government, 50% of our total beds are now for COVID only. Out of the 10,000 that the central government has, only 800 have been set aside for corona. Out of the 3,500 that the BJP-run municipal corporations have, 0 have been set aside for corona treatment. So we are taking a disproportionate load of the cases of corona in the city, and we are fine with that. We are not complaining. We are not raising fingers at the central government, because the chief minister has given a very strict instruction to our party people, our spokespersons, that we will not fight. We will not fight with BJP. We will not fight with Congress. We will not come on TV debates and blame somebody else for whatever has gone wrong. We will acknowledge there are problems and we will fix them.
Can I ask you? Can I point it out? Akshay, can I Tanvi come? Tanvi,
But
you see, they had promised that in hotel they will have 10,000 beds. Hotels were supposed to be quarantine centers. They said that we have a tie-up. There was going to be 12,000 additional beds, about which the courts have also said. What about that? Why were you waiting? What were you waiting for?
Can I answer to that? That's a very valid question. Can I answer to that? Tanvi, you have to understand that as of now, the requirement for beds is being met with the existing setup that we have in government and private hospitals. The reason that certain people are having to run around from one hospital to another is that there is, one, a lack of information about which hospital has beds available. Two, people have specific preferences that they want to go to a certain hospital and not to another kind of hospital. So today, when we say that I'm looking at the Delhi Corona app on my phone right now, there are 4,200 beds available as of now. And what we can guarantee to you as a citizen, as the government, is that if you need a bed, there are beds available. We cannot, however, guarantee that you will get a bed in a certain hospital that is of somebody's preference. Now, we know that this is a problem. So what we are doing is, we have asked various private hospitals that are most in demand, including Fortis, Apollo, Max Hospital, to take over hospitals. The first such experiment has actually worked, where the Sheraton Hotel has been taken over by Max Hospital and they have started admitting their patients in Max. A similar experiment is being done with Apollo hospitals, with two hotels. One is the Crown Plaza and the other is Holiday Inn. But Crown Plaza has taken the Delhi government to court, which has been going on in the Delhi High Court for the last 3 or 4 days. And tomorrow we expect the court to give a clear verdict on that, and then we will be able to take over many such hotels. But this plan is underway already. We are already augmenting bed capacity at hospitals.
Okay, this is all fine, and we've had exhaustive conversations about this, and yes, it's going to be a big challenge going forward. But my question is still not getting answered. Why are we seeing 1,000, 1,200 cases every day at a time when your testing has gone down? I am trying to understand what has gone wrong for Delhi in the last 10 days, 12 days, Akshay. And if we don't find that out, then you can keep adding beds and we can keep, running around in these circles, but we'll never be able to fix the problem.
Tanvi, several problems have already been discussed and I have accepted the problems that you have pointed out. But let me just tell you one thing. When we had very few cases coming up every day, there were 300 cases, 400 cases. The reason that there is a sudden spike is because our country is now gone from lockdown 4 to unlock 1. And wherever we have opened up the economy, there is going to be a surge in cases. It is not possible that you suddenly open up the country after 3 months of a lockdown and your cases go down. You have to understand there is a logic to it. There is a logic to why after a lockdown is reopened, cases are going to go up. We cannot deny this pure, science behind this. So what we need to do now is that we have to ensure that not a single life is lost because of the lack of oxygen supply in beds and because people don't have beds to begin with. These are the two things that governments can do proactively to prevent deaths from happening. Let me name some of the top countries of this world, the most developed countries of this world, including America, Italy, France, Russia. If they have not been able to stop the spread of the virus, how do you believe that any country in the world is going to be able to stop the spread? What we can stop is the suffering of people. We can stop people from dying, we can stop people from suffering, and that is the priority of the Delhi government right now.
Okay, here is the other point that I want to talk about, and I want to go across to Dr. Rajan on that. Dr. Rajan, around May 28th, 29th, we saw, in that period that every day over 7,600 tests or over 7,000 tests were being done. On May 28th, there were 7,600 tests done. On May 29th, 7,649 tests. May 30th, 7,113 tests, and then the figure came down to the 6,000s, and then it went further down to the 5,000s. On 8th of June, it hit 3,700. Only 3,700 tests were conducted in Delhi on 8th of June. Now, these are daily figures I'm talking about. This was also the time that our government had come out with a different order as far as testing labs is concerned. Then that order got changed, and the testing number went up to 5,400. And we are hovering in that range. We are still in the 5,000 range. This is a question that has been asked by the Supreme Court as well. Dr. Rajan, for a city like Delhi, do you believe we are not testing enough now?
Ma'am, first of all, it is quite strange in the present scenario. The right of a doctor to order an investigation has been taken away. And it is a sad day that we had to go to the courts, and the court has had to intervene only on testing. As far as testing, first we were worried that we didn't have enough testing facilities in the country. Today, if you read the newspaper, the ICMR says we are under testing, the testing facilities are not being fully utilized. I fail to understand the logic why testing is a problem. If Jahangir Puri you were discussing why not household to household aggressive testing and screening of patients was not done. I as a doctor feel it is the right which the Supreme Court has upheld today that any patient has a right to get an investigation done. We could understand when the situation was that the country was found wanting. We have many options. We have started limiting our options. Limiting testing is not, if a person comes positive and he's asymptomatic, I think he will better understand his responsibility rather than going into that fear and the scare, which is prevalent all across the country now. And in Delhi, the way it has come up. And now also, I always say, please revise your strategy. Take care of experts, take the opinion of more experts, take valid many opinions, multiple opinions, and then come to a conclusion. Now, the focus of your hospitals and the beds should be to create more and more oxygen facilities. And have an inclusive approach. Please call the stakeholders who are managing Delhi to take care of the problem.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So now, how do we do that, Mr. Javed Ansari? This is a problem where we are even testing low. This has been raised by the Supreme Court, and the cases are still on the rise. Now, from here on, many people are asking the question if that is actually being done to lower the number of cases.
Look, if that indeed is the case, then it's really very sad. I mean, things can't be worse than this. Let's look. Everybody realizes that this is an unprecedented situation, but there are states which have handled this, which have handled this very well, and now are on top of the game. Kerala is a case in point. Karnataka is a case in point. They are not shying away from testing. They are rigorously, aggressively testing, contact tracing, and then making available beds so that those who've tested positive are given the medical help that is needed. Counseling is being made available to them so that there isn't any unnecessary panic. What this attitude or this ostrich-like attitude, this of just wishing away the problem is not going to help. This problem won't go away. It needs to be tackled head-on, aggressively. Follow the Kerala model, the Karnataka model. Test, and more tests. 4,000, 5,000 tests in a population of 1 million is not even a drop in the ocean. We should have been testing 25 to 30,000 people every day. And Delhi, being the national capital, there are immense infrastructure on hand. The central and the state government should pool in their resources and get cracking before it's just too late. Already they've delayed. They should have done it day before yesterday. But even now, before we are doomed to disaster, for God's sake, for the sake of citizens of this city, get your act together and get cracking. It can be done. Karnataka has done it. Kerala has done it. A lot of other states, even UP, which normally lags behind in everything, is doing a much better job than what we are witnessing in the capital. So get cracking.
Well, the Supreme Court, Mr. Javed Ansari, said today that the patients are being treated worse than animals. A dead body was found in a garbage van. It's a very sorry state of affairs as far as Delhi hospitals is concerned. Hospitals are not giving due care to the dead bodies. Patients' families aren't being informed about the deaths that are taking place. Families haven't been able to attend the last rites. And why has the testing gone down? Akshay Marathe, let's at least get this one last question answered. Why has the testing gone down?
Tanvi, the testing question has actually been answered repeatedly and has been resolved now because the policies have changed in Delhi as well. We have gone back to aggressive testing for a period of a few days when we had taken action against certain labs for disobeying the guidelines of the government. The testing suddenly went down on that one day when it went to 3,700. But apart from that, we have a daily average about 4,000 to 5,000, sometimes 6,000 tests per day. And let me tell you why, although this is not enough, I agree fully, we can do better. But we have to look at it from a national perspective. Uttar Pradesh, which Mr. Ansari just said is doing a good job, has 15 times more people than Delhi. But do you know how many tests it does? It does 7,000 tests a day. How are you ever going to know how many corona cases there are in Uttar Pradesh if only 7,000 people are being tested in a state of 30 crore people? So let's not get, distract ourselves with these false figures that some of the states are putting out there. When it comes to testing per million, Delhi is actually at number 1 right now with 13,000 tests per million. And we are 3 times more than the national average. Let me finish. Gujarat is testing less than 5,000 per million. Uttar Pradesh is testing at 1,500 per million. So I don't want to get into a tutu with any opposition parties, but we have to look at Delhi not in isolation. We have to look at Delhi as a state in this country of 30 states. If all other states are actually lagging behind Delhi, you cannot single out Delhi on national television and say, why are you not doing that? Why are you not doing this? I fully take criticism in our stride and we accept all our problems. But today in the Supreme Court's order, did you miss out on the 4 other states?
Akshay, I don't think this comparison is fair. Yes, for the longest time, Delhi has had the highest testing ratio. Yes, I agree with you, Akshay. But 5,000 is not enough and you agree. And you need to ramp it up. Other cities don't have the problem Delhi has today. No other chief minister so far has come and accepted that we are projecting 5.5 lakh cases by end of July. No other city right now is having a problem that Delhi is having. So I don't think it's a fair comparison to make right now. And exactly for the reason that you said that, no, 1 minute please. Exactly for the reason you said that it's not fair to compare it to UP because UP isn't testing enough. So we don't know how many cases we have, is why you are being now asked this question that if you bring down your testing and you limit it to only 5,000 or to 5,200 every day, then you are going to be suppressing your numbers as well.
Tanvi,
Mr. Javed Ansari wanted to respond to what Akshay Marathe is saying. Yes, go ahead, please.
My limited point was that in today's Supreme Court observations, apart from Delhi, 4 other states have been named. And I do not see a single television debate about any of the other states that have been talked about in the Supreme Court's verdict.
Watch more of Mirror Now. Watch more
Okay,
of Mirror
Tanvi.
Now. We've done exhaustive debates on Gujarat, on Telangana, on Tamil Nadu, on Maharashtra. When Mumbai was in the state of affairs that Delhi was, there was a daily conversation here on Mirror Now. Akshay, I'm not
Tanvi.
going to answer for other channels. I don't care what they do. But here we
Today's
do
Supreme
what
Court
justifies
order.
to be spoken
I'm
about.
talking about
Yes,
today's
Mr.
Supreme
Javed
Court
Ansari
order.
wanted to make a point.
Akshay, let me assure you,
Fair
it
enough.
is
And
certainly
you watch 8 o'clock
it
debate.
It is certainly not my aim or my brief to run down the Delhi government and praise somebody else. I am not a party spokesman, but I do believe that if there is something that is to be gained, to be learned from the way Karnataka and Kerala are handling it, we should certainly do it. If my government, the government of Delhi, is not testing enough, certainly as a citizen, as a resident of the city, I have a right to point that out and demand that more tests be done, that more beds be made available. I realize that this is a very difficult situation. You are in an unenviable position, but the fact is that you are in government, and whoever questions will be asked of whoever is in government. I am one of those who ask questions of the central government. I will also continue to ask questions of you. So therefore, please don't feel persecuted. I'm not singling you out. It's the central government's responsibility as well to lend a helping hand, to pool in resources, and to ensure that this situation improves and improves as of now.
Yes, okay, all right. Final comment from Mr. Sudesh Verma before we wrap it up. Mr. Sudesh Verma, you wanted to make a point?
Tanvi, you see, Delhi cannot compare itself with any part of the country. The whole country looks forward to Delhi. One of the best health infrastructure it has. Please don't compare. And I want to bring something for Akshay. He can tell his leadership. You see, in Delhi, what is the problem? 4,500 rupees for testing is being charged. Do you think in such a time of crisis, a poor man in Delhi can afford this cost? And government hospitals, they will just send them to private labs. It's so difficult for people because people will themselves go and test. But there is
been put, it is not
only
decided
when
by
you
Delhi
have
government.
I know, Akshay, when you have a campaign, then poor people go and get themselves tested. They don't have the motivation. They will have fever. Still, they would not go and get themselves tested because they will think that, okay, everything will be normal after some time. Only when they become serious, they end up going to the hospital. That is the situation. So why can't testing be, as the court has also said, either be free or at a very subsidized rate?
Tanvi, can I just clarify this here? There is free
Okay,
testing
I'm going
happening
to-
at all Delhi government hospitals and Delhi government's corona testing centers. The 4,500 price cap has actually been put in by the central government on private labs. Everybody who gets a test does not have to pay
Yes.
that money.
The
All Delhi
government
government
doctors are
institutions are
not
testing
testing,
for free.
Akshay, believe me. The government doctors are just turning them away. That is the problem. The situation
I'm
is
not
not as
quite
normal
sure.
as you are saying.
Okay, we will, Mr. Sudesh Verma, we will keep this conversation for another day for sure, and we will sit here and talk about the testing which is going on in all of the big cities, how much the private and the public hospitals and labs are actually doing, and how do we ramp it up. But for now, I am going to thank all of our panelists for joining us. Viewers, it's very plain and simple, and I am right now going to also speak to you, the citizen. Coronavirus hasn't gone away. The fact that we are bringing you these stories, the fact that we bring you these horrifying stories from various hospitals is to make you understand that please take care and please take all of the precautions that you can so that you don't land up in this situation. Because our healthcare system is getting overburdened and it is only going to get tougher from here on. Don't forget, the virus still exists even if the lockdown restrictions have been lifted. And it is up to you. The onus is also on you to maintain your social distancing. The onus will be on you to ensure that you don't step out when it is not required. That you keep your distance, that you observe if the lockdown rules, if you're still in a containment zone, if you're still in a hot spot. Life isn't normal for you if you are unfortunately in a containment zone. For what's happening in some parts of Delhi, this is what will lead to a jump in cases. And you will only go 5 steps back in your war against coronavirus. Yes, the Delhi government has said so for now they are not going to bring back the lockdown. But imagine the plight of anybody who gets infected. The running around for testing, for screening, for treatment, for ambulance. The only way to not get into that is to take care and do your part in fighting coronavirus. Thank you so much for joining us on this conversation. Well, before we go into a break, here's a quick reminder for what you should not miss tomorrow, viewers. Times Evoke is a unique print and digital initiative that inspires a new awareness, one that seeks to celebrate a joyful harmony between the nature and all of its forms. To celebrate the bond that humanity shares with nature, Times Evoke is bringing together 25 leading artists for India's biggest concert for the cause of environment. It is a live concert with Grammy winner Ricky Cage on Saturday 13th of June at 8 p.m. For more information, you can log on to timesevokeconcert.com. Joining me right now, viewers, is the AIIMS director, a very busy man, one of the top experts we have right now on the medical situation as well as coronavirus. Let's say good evening to Dr. Guleria, speaking to us here on Mirror Now. Dr. Guleria, thank you for speaking with us. I want to start off with the big conversation point which is there right now, which is what's happening in the national capital. What's happening in our Rajdhani, and which is the sudden spike in cases, sudden worry which is there about where we are headed, how many cases will be there in the national capital. The government says they estimate 5.5 lakh cases by end of July. What is your own view? Can it get that bad in Delhi?
So the number of cases in Delhi continue to increase, and that is happening in many of the hotspots. So this is a cause of concern. How the pandemic will behave over the next few weeks is something that one cannot really predict. These are based on what we would call mathematical modeling, and sometimes they may not be totally correct. But it's always good to be prepared rather than be caught unaware. And therefore, I think all efforts should be made in terms of both infection control, trying to see how we can decrease the number of cases, and gearing up our facilities so that we can manage a large number of patients if they come to the hospital.
Okay, but what do you think really went wrong, or what changed, Dr. Guleria? And we've been, digging and researching a lot about what changed the last 2 weeks. Around May end is when we began to see a large number of cases and even deaths being reported. To your mind, what happened?
So 2 or 3 things are important to keep in mind. One issue is that we've had a lockdown which has really given us time and has been helpful in terms of building capacity. But at the same time, the lockdown has caused a strain on people. And therefore, as the lockdown got extended, a lot of people, for various reasons, were not sincere in maintaining that lockdown. So we had a lot of people who were going out, not wearing masks or mixing with each other. We had movement of the migrant population. All of this allowed the virus to sort of escape and really come out of the so-called containment zone. We were not able to keep these containment zones very, very strongly locked down because people moved in and out of these containment zones. That led to increasing number of cases, and as the number of cases increase, so will the number of sick patients who require hospitalization. So that, I think, has happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and that has seen the surge in number of cases. I'm hopeful that over the next 2 or 3 weeks, this should start plateauing off, because then things will start settling, but it will take some time for it to happen.
Okay, so then let's talk about, what you said that, of course, mathematical models can have different projections. We here at Times Network have been, tracking the cases, the statistics, and we have our own 2 different projections that we look at. And none of them are even close to what the Delhi government is saying, but the method can be different. But if we are to say that by July, mid-July, we'll have 2.5 lakh cases, end of July, 5.5 lakh cases, roughly 80,000 to 1 lakh beds will be required, then how do we reach that point? Right now, we are not even using the civic body hospitals. There is very less of even the central government hospitals, including AIIMS, that is right now being utilized for COVID. Do you think that should be opened up before Delhi government actually starts looking at stadiums and hotels?
So I think we need to look at the data properly. AIIMS has currently more than 700 patients admitted who are COVID positive. The number keeps increasing every day. So we have a huge load of patients, and we are looking at different strategies as far as hospitals are concerned. One strategy is to prioritize those who need to be admitted and be able to say that those who have mild symptoms or asymptomatic, we are now saying that we will manage them at home. We are developing a helpline and a teleconsultation facility so that these people who we ask to go at home and stay at home, we stay in touch with them, give them a list of warning signs that if you have any of these warning symptoms, you come to the hospital. Otherwise, take these medicines and stay at home and stay in touch with us. This will help in admitting only those patients who are very sick. That is the first thing that we're trying to do. The second thing that we're trying to see is, can we increase the turnaround time? If the person is improving and he's stable on, let's say, the 8th to 10th day, if he is doesn't have comorbidities, can we send him home early so that the bed is available for the next 6 patients?
Okay, I stand corrected there. The last data that I checked, my understanding was there are 400 beds at AIIMS, but like you say, 700 to 800 patients right now. But Dr. Glaria, that still doesn't solve the problem of 80,000 beds. I understand, yes.
AIIMS has 2 parts, which we converted to COVID hospitals.
Yes.
One part is the trauma center, which has 240 beds, which we've converted into a COVID hospital. We have the National Cancer Institute, which is in Jhajjar. This is also part of AIIMS, which is just beyond Gurgaon. It's in Haryana, but it is part of AIIMS New Delhi. That is a cancer hospital which has 700 beds. In that facility also, around 500 beds we have converted, almost from the 3rd floor to the 7th floor, and the Vishram Sadan there has been converted into a COVID facility. By next week, we will also open up a new building. We'll start at least 2 floors there, which is the burns and plastic surgery block. And we are now actively making that into also a COVID facility. So we are looking at increasing our capacity to manage more and more COVID patients. Currently, like I told you, both in NCI Jhajjar, which is part of AIIMS, which was a cancer hospital, and our trauma center are actually have become totally COVID hospitals.
Okay, thank you for those details. Dr. Guleria, beds, availability of beds, oxygen, cylinder beds or ventilators is one aspect that we have to cater to. The other aspect is also the management of such large number of cases. The healthcare staff that will be needed to manage this over a long period of time. What we are seeing in Delhi unveiled right now and unfold right now in many parts is utter chaos, where patients are not being families are not being informed about the status of the patients. Patients have passed away, but there is a confusion over dead bodies. Families who are direct high risk contacts of somebody who's died are not being admitted, they're not being tested. This is obviously a management and an organized organization problem. How does this get resolved as cases go up?
So I do agree that a number of steps need to be taken. One is that we need to have a comprehensive plan for having to see where beds are available and how patients can reach those areas, so that they don't have to run around from one hospital to the other looking for a bed or a ventilatory bed. Second is there has to be involvement of the medical social workers, who can therefore act as the bridge between the patient's attendants and the doctors to inform them how the patient is doing. Remember, many of these patients are in a COVID facility where people with PPEs are only going in. There is a lot of issue of infection control. And we've had patients where the entire other family members are actually quarantined or isolated at home. So there is a very important issue of how do we keep the two people to connect with each other. We've used the mobile technology to be able to support that. Also, there is a need to see how we can improve our manpower. What we've done is we've taken our faculty and residents from other departments. So from people who are in the surgical departments, people who are in basic science from other departments like eye department have been trained to manage COVID and to run and help us in running the hospital or run the increasing number of patients. Similarly, we're looking at, can we now get all our interns to manage the COVID care facility? Can we train our final year students or the students from the College of Nursing? Can they also chip in to help as far as the increased human resources that is going to be required? Because as this pandemic increases, we will have to look at out of the box ideas of how are we going to manage the increasing number of cases.
Okay, I know you're a very busy man, and that's why I'm going to quickly just ask you one last question and let you go. But Dr. Guleria, while a lot of our attention now is on the big cities, let's just say the top 15 districts from where we're getting a majority of our cases, the containment zones and hotspots in these districts, is there a concern about the level of testing happening outside of these areas? A lot of people have now traveled back home. Large-scale reverse migration has happened, but we don't seem to be really tracking what's that leading to in our smaller towns.
So I agree that now we should look at strategies of more and more testing. That is being looked at and being done. If you remember, maybe about 6 weeks ago, we were doing only around 10 to 20,000 tests per day. We are now doing 1.5 lakh tests a day. So our testing capacity has increased and it will further go up by the end of the month. So I think now that we have a large testing capacity, we should see how we can optimize it so that it can be, we can do testing even in remote areas, in small towns, and pick up any cluster which is developing there so that we can prevent it from becoming a big outbreak and prevent the infection from spreading. So the challenge now is not only containing in the hotspots, but doing the surveillance and monitoring the entire country so that we don't allow other areas to become hotspots.
All right, Dr. Randeep Guleria, thank you so much for speaking with us and sharing your views on a whole host of issues, from dealing with COVID in the national capital to even tracking it across the country. I appreciate you giving us your time.